Welcome back. This is Rogue Startups, and I'm your host, Craig Hewitt. If this is your first time here, welcome. This show is all about SaaS, sales, marketing, and growth. On the show, I have a mix of solo episodes where it's just me, or interviews with friends, colleagues, inspiration, leaders in the SaaS, marketing, and sales space. And today is no exception. I'm joined by Adam Shaw. Adam is really amazing. I got introduced to him as a lead. He put something out on LinkedIn and I was like, wow, this is fucking great. I got to check this guy out. Maybe I'll become a client of his. Didn't work out. We're just not a great fit for what they do, but he has a great service. Marketing for entrepreneurs is what it's called. And it's really kind of a strategy and accountability service for bootstrap SaaS. And in this episode, Adam and I talk through utilizing platforms like Reddit and LinkedIn to actively go out and engage with your ideal customer persona and get business directly. So, kind of as opposed to passive marketing like YouTube content or podcasts or, SEO and content marketing, like how can you go out and find that perfect person and engage with them directly on a platform like LinkedIn or Twitter or Reddit or whatever. And while we know that this is borrowed land and we don't own this and we could lose all of our followers tomorrow, I think Adam has a really good kind of ethos and idea around this to say like, yeah, it might just be borrowed and you might not be able to stay here forever, but by golly, like you can get customers like tomorrow and they're driving really amazing results for their clients and marketing for entrepreneurs. And so I'm excited as we dive into the episode here. I think you're going to love the first part especially. So let's dive in. So I want to start by asking where you got your sweatshirt because it's amazing.
Yeah, so I got this in the theater. We were watching the movie, it ended, and I said, I want that sweatshirt. And we just went online, Googled, I am Knuff sweatshirt. And actually, it is Mattel. Like, Mattel makes them.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, they're actually really, really comfy. I don't know if you can tell. Like, it's like really
it looks like
it's the same material on the inside. It's just like, oh, it's so comfortable.
Oh, epic. So if you're not watching this on YouTube, go on YouTube and watch it. Adam has an amazing I am Knuff whatever tie-dyed sweatshirt that looks just amazing. So
exact same one from the movie.
yeah. So cool. Okay, we got the important stuff out of the way. Now we can go on to the boring stuff about SaaS sales and marketing. So I ran across you because of a really great piece of marketing talking about Reddit marketing. I think I saw you post on LinkedIn, kind of like we've cracked the code on how to use Reddit to acquire customers. And I know from talking to you since then that like that piece is like still generating leads for you and you're running some ads and stuff like that. But like, tell me how you're viewing platform marketing like that. So put LinkedIn and Reddit maybe in the same bucket for like B2B SaaS companies.
Yep. So Reddit and LinkedIn have very different uses to me from a content standpoint and how I'm using the platform. Cool. Reddit is a very reactive platform for me. It's way ahead of LinkedIn and what people are talking about, but I very rarely post on Reddit. I almost always just comment because that's where a lot of people go anonymously to ask for help on stuff, right? I just created this app and I'm having a hard time figuring out how to reach my audience. A lot of questions like that. You can go on there, go on the subreddit r/SaaS, r/micro SaaS, and there's tons of questions about how do I get users, how to do that thing. I just go in there and answer questions. And oftentimes, actually, the content that I create that most people see on LinkedIn comes from an answer on Reddit. Like, oh, that's interesting. Let's go see, how I can, I've never seen anybody talk about this on LinkedIn because I've noticed LinkedIn's probably like, I don't know, maybe several weeks behind, Reddit on like the tactics. And I think that's fine because LinkedIn, and I wrote about this in that Reddit post, in that LinkedIn post about Reddit, was LinkedIn is a lot more for bragging and telling people how good you are at doing something. So, and people don't brag about stuff that they're not doing yet, right? So if somebody goes on Reddit or something similar that's a little bit more like ahead of it and then says, oh, okay, I'm going to go try that thing. It takes them 3 or 4 weeks to try it, see if it worked. And then they brag about it on LinkedIn.
Got it. Okay. So Reddit reactionary answering people's questions. I think Quora was a popular thing back in the day. kind of similar mindset there. LinkedIn, I agree. Like, fuck it, I go and boast on LinkedIn about how great I am at sales and marketing and helping other founders with sales and marketing. And I tell you, man, like it works like a champ, but it makes me feel really bad every time I'm there. Like, I don't know. Do you like on a person, like, I know your business is run like partly on these platforms, but like, do you have a similar kind of like feeling about LinkedIn as like a platform?
It's easy to fall into it, but I think the way that I've kind of defeated that for my, like, personally, is that I am using my results as a hook, not the story themselves. So, you can go on there. I had a great post, or I had a post I think was great, and it got really good engagement, 2 days ago. And it was kind of a story about, actually, let me take a look because I can't remember. So, I had a post on here that I did 2 days ago, which is if you're wasting 30 minutes per day on LinkedIn, it's hurting your B2B startup. If it's not showing, so I'm helping people telling things, and then I use my experience on Reddit or on LinkedIn and on these platforms and telling people a slight brag as more of a reason, like, hey, you should listen to me about this because, and then I go back into here's how to do it, and it's more help oriented. So I have a line here that says, I made $30,000 from my startup on LinkedIn this month, and I only had about 30 minutes per day. And after that, there's not really any bragging, right? And I go and I say, like, here's the challenges I faced. If it sounds familiar to you, continue reading, check this out, kind of thing. And then I tag other people in it who are also very helpful in this space, like Nick Brockema, Indra Poldvee, Sam Brown. I tagged them and said, like, go and use their stuff too. So I use that, but I jam pack my content with so much more helpful stuff. I don't feel like I'm bragging. I feel like I'm just using it as an example of what could potentially happen if you do follow whatever it is I'm telling you to do.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Do you, as you're like working with your clients and stuff, do you think about like different types of businesses are better suited for one platform or another? The approach is obviously different, but like certain industries, types of businesses, ARPU, stuff like that. Yeah.
So our customers vary very significantly. I have folks who are HR tech, SaaS startups. I have folks who are consultants. And I have folks who are like very technical, like, sec dev and DevOps and SecOps stuff. And it varies pretty significantly. Like Reddit is very good for those devs. Twitter is really good for those devs. LinkedIn is awesome for the HR tech. Communities is really, really good for the HR folks. So part of what I do when I bring on new customers, we spend an hour talking about who their customers are, where they're spending time, and we really find them. We do, we're going to go and I use, Sales Navigator. I use something called Gummy Search to help me search through Reddit. And then I use the Hive Index, which is like a list of communities. That's pretty cool. Check those out definitely. And maybe we can include the link to them in the description. But sure. I use those as a quick, once over, what are people doing? Where are they? And then from there we go and we say, all right, we're going to make content that's for that specifically.
SparkToro as well, or no?
I haven't used SparkToro. I've heard of it. What does it do?
I think it kind of connects the social graph or overlay of people with certain interests across social and search and communities and platforms like that, like Reddit. I'll
have to take a look. I've heard of it before, but I was never really familiar with what it actually did.
Yeah, I've dabbled a little bit, kind of to see if people are searching for B2B SaaS sales, they're on these subreddits or they're following these people on Twitter. I mean, a lot of it's pretty obvious, but I think it gets pretty fine grained. Yeah.
Very cool.
Neat. And so let's talk about so I think I get the strategy for Reddit. It's find a topic that people are talking about that relates to what you do, give a super awesome answer, and somehow link to your shit, right? That's the bit of the edgy part. There's a lot of rules and etiquette in Reddit, and you'll get banned if you're using it as promotion. How do you approach that?
So I make my profile like a landing page. My profile is optimized. You can go on there, just search marketing for founders on Reddit. it's my profile, and you can see it's full of call to actions, full of content, full of like, click here for, for my newsletter, click here to schedule a call, that kind of stuff. So I don't have to be overly pushy on the posts, because people who are very interested in what I have to say, they're going to click my profile, my username, and then go learn more about me. So I don't feel like I have to push it. I only push it when it's very organic, when, somebody asks a question and then I can say, hey, here's the answer. Also, I wrote this guide, or I talk about it in my newsletter. And as far as I usually go with that is, I have links to them in my profile. Go check it out. Because it's just way more organic. It's way more conversational, and it's less threatening too. Makes people not feel like you're trying to sell them on something. And yeah, you won't get banned if you do it that way. So
yeah, gotcha. Do you use any kind of like keyword alerts or anything like that in Reddit, or you just pop in every morning and search the subreddits that you're a part of?
No, so I do. I use a platform called Gummy Search. And I'll send you guys the link. I have an affiliate link that I think gives like 10-15% off, but it's pretty inexpensive. It's very, very easy to use, because what was happening for me was I was spending 2 hours a day on Reddit at one point, because I was making money off it and it made sense. And I was like, I need to figure out a way to spend less time on this but still get the same outcome. And so just like any other tactic I do, it's like, all right, what part of this is taking the most time out of my day? And it was the finding stuff to post.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've played around a bit on Reddit and just LinkedIn with like finding people talking about interesting stuff and commenting, increasing social reach. Yeah. That's the hardest part. Is like, it's just finding the content to engage with. I was reading a tweet thread by Tebow. I don't know Tebow's last, Tebow Maker, the tweet hunter guy and Taplio guy. And he was like, yeah, make a list of this and then go engage with these people every day. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, man. But like, that's hard. Like that's a lot of time, but I guess that's the point, is like, oh, this is important. And so you gotta make the time to do it.
Part of it too is after you're in there, you start to know what kind of conversations you want to be in, and you can create almost like bait for those conversations. The few posts that I actually do on Reddit are bait. They're questions. Hey, what's the biggest challenge people are facing right now for generating, leads? Hey, for people, a post that I'm probably going to do here sometime this week was for people who launched a new product in the new year. How's it going 3 months in? And the goal there is to get people to say, hey, I launched and I'm having these are my difficulties, whatever, right? And then I can go back to them and say, oh, okay, here's how I help do that.
Let's talk about marketing for founders a little bit. So y'all have an interesting model where there's the kind of strategic accountability partner kind of side of things, and there's like a done for you service. You want to kind of give a overview of kind of landscape there?
Yeah. So I built marketing for founders off of my consulting, and I had a lot of early stage startups, like sub 10K a month, startups coming to me and saying, hey, like I want more help, but I can't afford, right? I can't afford basically my rate, which is anywhere between like 5 to 15K a month. And what we found out, from talking to them, was they actually did prefer somebody just told them what to do. And they were unhappy with consultants and coaches that they had gotten in the past because it wasn't hands-on enough. It was too boilerplate. They'd meet once a week for a half hour, an hour, and they'd be like, oh, go do this thing or fill in this template, right? And that wasn't really enough. So what we did is we said, okay, I'm going to literally just hold people's hands. We're going to create a bunch of content that helps people. And then like, I'm going to tell them what to do step by step. So the way that works is we build them a 90-day roadmap. We do a daily action plan for them. So every single day they just look to see what they have to do that day to accomplish this thing. And then we have office hours every single day for an hour and a half for people to come in, get help with the tasks that are due. And what we really want to do here was just completely remove the question of what do I do and how do I do it, and just turn yourself into kind of like a task-driven marketing person, and just to trust that if you do the steps, it's going to work. And it works. It really does. Like we have a bunch of customers now who are at a situation where, their first post they ever did on LinkedIn is going viral, and they're getting customers the first time. They're having more than 1 or 2 conversations with customers a week. Now they're getting, 1 or 2 a day. And part of this is that we also calibrate this to the needs of that customer and the abilities. So part of our onboarding process is to dig into what kind of content do you like to make and are good at, and then how much time do you have every week to dedicate to this, right? Because if somebody says, I love making video content, but I hate writing. I'm not going to tell them to write 4 newsletters a month. I'm not going to tell them to write a guide a week. I'm going to tell them go record video. And then then the next question is, how much time do you have, every month or every week to spend on this? And we have founders who are like, yeah, I can spend 20 hours a week marketing. And I have founders who say I can spend 1 hour a day. So 5 hours a week marketing. And we make sure that our daily action plan, is tailored to that. Those are significantly different outcomes that are going to happen. So we want to make sure that we're accounting for all of that.
You probably have some data on this. Like, at what point does the results really start to grow exponentially based, like, relative to the input? It's like 5 hours a week, you're going to get a small thing, but like 10, it's like 3 times as much results. Is there a thing like that?
I haven't seen it based on how many hours per week they're putting in. I see it based off of consistency of putting hours in. So I would say like 3 months in is when you start to really see the consistent, like very obvious growth happening. You start to see the impact and start getting more phone calls, demos, engagement within, 2 weeks from us. Most of our customers pay back, their investment within, 3 to 4 weeks working with us, because we focus in that first month, we focus on fast stuff, like very quick, like what we call active marketing. We're messaging people one-on-one, we're tagging them in posts, we're just forcing conversations to happen on various platforms. So yeah, I guess to summarize that answer, it's less about how much time you're spending per day, and it's more about the consistency of getting stuff out the door and forcing conversations with customers.
Gotcha. And just if folks are interested, marketingforfounders.com. And is there like a price point at which like this really makes sense? Like, we're $19 a month. Like, I don't know if it would make sense for us, but like $100 a month, like minimum price plan. Is that kind of where you like to start?
Yeah, I think we're seeing most of our customers are seeing success if they're like $500 to $1,000 a month and up. We don't have anybody who's under $499 a month. I know one of our customers is that. And then I have a customer whose average contract value is, $150K. And so they're really happy when they get 1 demo a week, whereas the $499 guys are really happy when they get 1 demo a day. And they're both seeing that, and they're both happy with it.
Yeah. Gotcha. You touched on active versus passive marketing. I wrote about this in my newsletter. I credited you and linked back to your LinkedIn post, but I really, I was on a sales call with you. We were talking about this whole thing. And before then on LinkedIn, I think you were asking me like, hey, what kind of growth stuff are you doing for Castos? And I said, like, I'm a hammer, and my, like, the nail or whatever is content marketing and SEO. And like, yeah, that's passive marketing. But like, what's the mix of active and passive marketing, and what are you doing for active marketing? For folks who haven't like heard of this concept, aren't on my newsletter, give me the skinny on like how you define those two and how you think about the breakdown between them.
Yeah, good question. And I want to preface this by saying that the terms active and passive aren't associated with positive and negative. I want to make that clear. Like, they both have equal part, like, in the marketing, depending upon where you are. When you're really early stage, or you're trying to like make a big impact fast, the active marketing part is what you want to do. And so active marketing is more of the like going and having forcing those conversations to happen, putting things and content directly in the hands of the people that you want to have look at it and turn into a demo or a buyer or whatever. The passive part is you're thinking of like paid media, SEO, things where there's not anything you can do at that second to get a demo from that activity. When you post on LinkedIn, if you just post and leave it, that's very passive, right? You're hoping that somebody who you want to have come into a demo sees it, engages, and you can create a conversation with them. To make that more active, you create a post on LinkedIn and you DM the post to 10 of your prospects and saying, hey, just wrote a post, thought you'd get a ton of value out of it. Let me know what you think and leave a comment. And then out of those 10, 3 of them come back and say, that was really helpful. I've been having a problem with this. And you go, great. I help people do this and would love to show you. And maybe you get one person that says, great, and you get a demo out of it. So very actively putting that in people's hands. And when you're talking about being a founder and, very low MRR, basically anything under $1 million a year, that is going to have huge impact in your business, versus paid ads and SEO. Paid ads is more passive, a little more risky because you can waste a ton of money You have to spend good money before you know if it's going to work. SEO is risky because, well, A, it's really hard and super time consuming, so you can't do other stuff. And B, it's more of a long tail thing. And your active marketing stuff can contribute to that SEO piece, obviously, right? Because you are writing content. But if your focus is set first on just creating great content that's going to engage your customers, then you can just upload it into a blog or something in the future and maybe like add some more keywords and just kind of hit some SEO best practices.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally can relate. I mean, as I was thinking about active versus passive marketing, I mean, frankly, most of what we've done is passive marketing. And I think one is because like we're all just scared, right? Like we're scared to DM this thing to somebody and them tell us to fuck off or not get the sales call or not get a response or something like that. Whereas like it's easy for me to say, I'm going to publish. I have a goal to publish 200 YouTube videos this year. And this will be one of them, which is great. You're helping me meet my goal. But it is because like, yeah, I mean, at some level, I'm scared to like, instead of doing this, to go have a whole bunch of conversations with people who I think could be great prospects for us.
And a way to take the stress off of that, right, is you have now really great content hosted on a site that everybody knows. It's very non-threatening. It's not hosted on your, I mean, I'm sure it will be on your website somewhere, but you don't have to drive them to a site that's going to have a demo request thing and it's this and that's branded and everybody, and it just feels like a sales pitch. You've got a YouTube channel with really great content and you can now go using LinkedIn automation or doing it manually to a really, really specific audience and say, hey, I created a YouTube channel to help people build, their marketing, whatever funnel, whatever, however you want to position it to help, mid-stage marketing teams build better funnels. Here, check it out and know what you think. And you're going to get, one of two responses back there is one, hey, great, this is awesome. Not super helpful for me right now, but maybe I'll take it up later. And like you very rarely get somebody like angry with you because you're not just like hard pitching them, right? You're just giving them some content. The other response is the one that I'm always trying to get is somebody going, yeah, thanks. I need this because we've been struggling with some of these things. And there's stuff that's going to be in the middle where somebody says, thanks, this is interesting. And your goal in that conversation with them is to get them to come back and say that they're having a problem with something that you fix. So for me, I send people my newsletter. And just this morning, I had 3 people reply back, say this newsletter is really helpful and super timely because we're launching this month or in April. And so I just respond back, well, that's awesome. I help founders do their own marketing. Would love to show you how it works. If you find the newsletter useful, I think this would be useful for you as well. And out of those 3 replies, I got 1 demo off of it. So like, it's because I know how to like dig into those folks and get them to tell me, hey, I'm having a problem with marketing. One of those 3 people is a stealth company. He said, oh, this is really like, this is timely for me. We're going to be launching and driving, revenue in, 2 months. But he didn't really tell me they had a problem with it. So I said, what are you guys working on right now? And he replied back with, well, we've been trying to figure out how we're going to launch this for like 3 weeks. And I'm just not sure if this is the right way to go. And I was like, oh, great. Like come have a demo. This was like an hour ago. He hasn't responded yet, but we'll see. But that's the kind of thing I just have to dig and try to, because I know if they tell me I have a problem with something, so I just try to get them to say that. Yeah.
Got it. I like how you're approaching, kind of like using a platform to get people off platform. Cause that like feels really good to me. Cause like part of a kind of LinkedIn community, or like LinkedIn to grow your business community. And they have been talking all week about how fucking reach is down and all this kind of stuff. And the algorithm's changing. And you saw it with Twitter a while back. I'm sure you see it with Reddit all the time. And the API changes with Reddit a couple of years ago and stuff like that. Like, I think it goes without saying it's super risky to put all of your eggs in the platform basket. But to me, like the way I'm approaching it right now is exactly like what you're talking about. It's like, I want to create content off platform and then use the platforms to amplify it. So like to me, like me personally, all of my marketing effort, all of my passive marketing effort is going into YouTube because I think as a platform and an algorithm, it's the best. But then fucking Twitter and LinkedIn, and if I get active on Reddit, it will be just to drive awareness and traffic back to that thing. Because that feels like even if fucking Reddit and LinkedIn and Twitter all blow up tomorrow, I still have this thing that like I relatively is mine.
Yeah. And I actually haven't heard anything about the LinkedIn algorithm going away. I mean, I had a post yesterday that got 3,000 impressions and got me a demo. So I guess I'm not really, maybe I missed that one.
Nice.
Maybe I missed that train. I mean, yeah, LinkedIn throttled all their stuff, whatever, a year and a half ago or something. I had half the amount of followers I do now. And I used to consistently get like 20 to 30,000 impressions on stuff. And now I get whatever, 3,000 to 5,000, but it's fine. I get a lot more engagement now from an actual like likes and comment standpoint than I used to. And obviously sales calls from it. So, I mean, I don't know. I think if you're practicing those active methods and really like pushing it in front of people and using the platform, in an active way, I think you get affected a little bit less by it because you're not relying on an algorithm or a piece of code to hopefully put it in front of the people you want. You're going to go do that, right? Like my LinkedIn posts that I put effort into, like the ones that I'm really like, this LinkedIn post I'm writing to engage and to turn into customers. I'll go share it on Reddit, on Twitter, in the communities, in other areas, messaging it to my friends or emailing it to people, things like that. Because like, to me, that's the best way to get it in front of people, is to just physically hand it to them and not have to rely on the algorithm. And then the algorithm goes and says, oh, a lot of people are engaging with this. So like, let's, push it in front of more.
Yeah. Yeah. No, makes sense. Makes sense. What do you think most founders like miss or get wrong when it comes to approaching growth? So like a lot of folks come to you because there's like, I don't know, like I have a problem. Like where does that problem start from, do you think?
Yeah. I pinpoint that in a single response I get when we're trying to figure out who the audience is to buy the product and create a message is, oh, but those people could buy it too. And that destroys startups. I think people are starting to understand more because there's a lot of people talk about niching down. The thing is niching down, like people say it, but I don't think they really like actually get into what that means. Like, oh, go find a smaller audience. They equate niching down to a smaller audience versus niching down to talking directly to your audience in a way that they care about. And that's the source of it. And when I do these onboarding calls with my customers, we really dig into their audience. We pick one really specific subsection, right? So I'll just use my business as an example for this is, I help companies do marketing. That's the 10,000 foot view. Could I do this for, companies that are doing 500 million a year, 100 million a year, 50? Like, yeah, sure. But I don't want to, and I don't think it's the audience that's going to buy my product at a high rate. So, I dug in and I said, all right, I help B2B SaaS founders. Well, some B2B SaaS founders are worth $4 billion. Some don't have a penny in their pocket. So what does that really mean? All right, well, I help B2B bootstrap founders. Okay, cool. There you go. But however, if they were marketers before, they don't need my help. So I help B2B bootstrap technical founders do their own marketing. And then from there, everything that I do can kind of flow back into that. My content is focused on that. My content is about how to do stuff inexpensively. It's how to avoid making big mistakes. It's focused on people who don't know how to do marketing. So it's very easy to read and there's not a bunch of technical marketing jargon in my stuff. So that's how, like, taking a niche, it doesn't mean that you're just like making your audience smaller. It means you're just learning how to talk to the people who are most likely to buy your product.
Have you found any risks or downside to niching down like that?
Not in the early
or being
stage
more
startup
specific,
space.
I should say.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not early in the time because I say this a lot of times. First of all, if somebody comes to me and says, "I want to create an empire and I want this company to be worth $10 billion," they're not my. I straight up tell them like, "I'm not going to be able to help you because I know that they're going to they're going to not listen. They're going to do stuff that is like way too out there as opposed to just doing decent marketing. They're going to try to do something revolutionary every time. They're going to expect everything has to go viral because to get to $10 billion, you do have to have like that ridiculous level of luck to some degree where like every post you do is viral. You have an amazing thing. But what I would say is like at the level that they're at, under 10,000 MRR, under $1 million ARR, they're looking at just being good at marketing. And you don't need 1,000 customers if you're charging, whatever, $2,000 a month for something to get to that 10K MRR. You only have to reach 5 people. And imagine if in my situation, imagine if I am the marketing company for every HR tech bootstrap SaaS startup under $1 million a year. I would be not working anymore, first of all. And I would be not living in St. Louis, Missouri. I'd be on the beach. I'd be riding my bikes, right? And how much money could I make if I was where all these HR tech companies, I use HR tech, that's kind of my background, where that got me started in this, but like if there's hundreds of those startups, and if I get most of them to pay me my $2K a quarter, I'm going to make a boatload of money. And I tell the folks that it's like, dude, imagine like there's how many devs, for instance, can like buy this product of yours, in this extreme niche. Oh, there's like 10,000 of them. I'm like, okay, so if you have like 5% of that market, which isn't that outside the realm of possibility with your extreme niche, like how much money are you going to make? Like, 10 million a year. You good with that? Like, you all right?
Yeah,
like, can you live off of that?
Right.
If they say, no, I want to be worth $10 billion, I just tell them that I'm not, my tactics are not for you.
Yeah. What scares you about kind of marketing today?
I don't say it's fear. It's more like an anxiety around how many things you could be doing, but that's always been that way. I just think it gets worse and worse, and just, but it's easy to fix that when I just go and look. All right, the things I'm doing are already doing great, and going back to the idea of like, do I really need to do more on more places, or can I just keep doing better where I am? I always use the term, it actually kind of goes back to what I was just saying, is like, how many yachts can you water ski behind? And the anxiety behind, being on more platforms is I'm not going to make more money because I'm not as many platforms. And it's like, well, are we doing all right where we are now? Yes, let's maximize this. And if I can hire somebody to help me with these other platforms or something, then I'll do that maybe in the future. But right now it's totally fine.
Yeah. No, I love that. And that kind of answers the second part of that question. Is like, what are you really excited about? And I would guess the answer is kind of like nothing, because you're trying to stay focused.
Well, yeah. What I'm excited about is I just hired a bunch of people, and now I can actually do marketing for my business, which is something that's
instead of fulfillment and client work.
Exactly. Yeah. So we know that when I spend time on Reddit, or on Reddit too, but when I spend 2 hours on LinkedIn, we get 4 demos. It's literally clockwork. I just spend the time talking to people, posting, engaging, whatever, we always get demos. And so now it's all right, how can I take 6 hours a day off of my plate so I can actually go do that and really build the business? We had a huge month in March because in February we didn't have a ton of new business. So I was spending a ton of time on LinkedIn, Reddit, writing newsletters. And so it's like, okay, we closed 40K, MRR in March because I spent almost a full-time job marketing. So how do we go do that again? And again? How can I get it so that I'm spending 40 hours a week on marketing? Because we know that that's going to, be the best way for this business to succeed.
So to just play devil's advocate a little bit here, is it fair to say that like this type of marketing is not kind of like something you could put on autopilot, but that's is active, right? You have to be there and you have to be doing the work. And if you turn it off, it's kind of like paid ads in that respect. If you stop putting in the work, the leads stop coming and business slows down. This
method is, depending upon the size of your company, what your product is, 99% of the time, this method is not going to get you 10 million ARR. It's not. Okay. And I tell you that right off the bat is, if you're at 5, you need to get to 10. Well, actually, I would probably say like the done for you side of my business, the more service oriented side of my business would probably be better. But even that, our main audience or our main buyer for that done for you side of the business is, 2 or 3 million ARR trying to get to 5. Because when you get to 5 to 10, then you can have, you really should be hiring a CMO. Like you really should have somebody internally owning marketing for you at that level. You should probably be able to afford paying somebody $300K a year on that versus having a company doing it all for you. So yeah, I'm pretty transparent on who we're for. We're not for companies who are, Series C, Series B, thinking about going public soon. 10 million ARR just doesn't track with our methods.
Gotcha. Neat. Yeah, I mean, I think just last, like, what would you like to leave SaaS founders with in terms of like places to go, things to do, things to think about? Like, what's like the parting nugget?
Yeah, I think think about first, go find where your customers are. That's the main thing. So go and dig and like just spend some time on Twitter, Reddit, LinkedIn, wherever they are, and have conversations with them. This is especially helpful if you are very much non-marketing and very much not able to write good content or make good content yet, because it's just not a strength of yours. Is just have conversations. And when you see conversations happening over and over again, whatever your responses are to these questions and conversations, turn that into content. You'll get better at it eventually. But that's a really, really good spot to start because you're just going to be able to talk with your buyers and with your customers who have these problems you're trying to fix. So there's no guessing. You don't have to guess if they're going to like what you're going to say because it's just repurposing something that somebody else already liked. And then like where to go. come to me, ask for help. Follow me on LinkedIn, shoot me a message on there. Craig knows this. If you message me asking for help on something, I'm going to give you a pretty lengthy response on like anything, like basically, hey, how do you recommend doing this? I'll either give you one of the like assets that we have, guides, templates, whatever, to help you, or I'll write like a totally custom response on like, okay, step by step, here's how I do it. Also, my newsletter is really popular lately and has a lot of great step-by-step stuff, and that's marketingmemos.beehive.com.
I just want to kind of echo one thing you said. Just regarding like having conversations with people and ideas about content is I've started doing some kind of one-on-one sales coaching for SaaS founders. And yeah, a lot of my kind of social content comes from discussions I've had where people say, I was in this situation and I did this. And interestingly, there's only like 2 or 3 like threads. It's always like focus or hiring or compensation or something like that. Like, but it's interesting to like have those conversations, hear the same stuff over and over, and then think, oh, I should probably write a thing about that. Mm-hmm. And they always do the best. Like it's always when I hear stuff from clients, and then generally, I don't want to like disclose like what a client's doing, but just say like, I've been hearing a lot of this and this is how we tackle it. Mm-hmm. Always does the best. So yeah, definitely agree.
Yeah, I agree that it's makes your life a lot easier. Yeah. I try to remove all the thought process from marketing, which is reacting to other people. It makes it way easier. So you don't have to be the first person to answer a question. Right? You just have to answer it better than the other guys, than 95% of them. Right.
There you go.
Which is why Reddit works really well for me.
Yeah. Neat. All right, man. Awesome. So marketingforfounders.com for folks who want to check it out. And we'll have a link to your profile and LinkedIn for folks who want to connect there.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Adam. Have a good one.
So in my mind, I always think that there's 2 ways to scale the active marketing. There's two areas that are stopping you from scaling. It's time or expertise. And the best way to, make something do better is by, the expertise side. In my situation with these carousel ads was I want to make them look better, just design nicer to grab attention more and communicate better. So, and I don't have the expertise to do that. I'm a very bad designer. So I took my design, sent it to my guys who do all my designs for me. I said, hey, make this better. Put it in we're launching a new website with new branding and stuff. So I put it in the new, format. And here's this. And, and then on the other side, I talked about this already. I hired a bunch of people so I could spend more time on LinkedIn. So not only am I going to be able to do more of these carousel posts that made me good money, that probably make $5,000 a month off of just a carousel post every month from new customers who said, I saw your thing. And I was only doing 2. I only did 2 last month. I want to do 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Because it makes me money. So make it look better and figure out how to do more of them. And that's also how you can figure out when it's time to bring in consultants and things is, is it volume or expertise? Which one do you want to pick to do better? And then that's how you pick who to bring in as a consultant. You don't make that mistake of bringing in a consultant to try something totally new. You bring them in to amplify something that is already working. And there's no risk there.
Yeah. And just for context, we were talking about this as it relates to how I'll repurpose content from this show is like we use opus.pro to create like the short segments. And Adam was saying, well, yeah, but just take, a segment from this and create a LinkedIn carousel from it. So that's kind of where this came from. So yeah, love the idea, man. I like, carousels, I hear do really well. I've done a couple of them. Simple Canva template or something like this that you have in Figma is great. Yeah.
Cool,
man.